good afternoon. It's Tuesday, August 4th. Time for a reflection. I want to start by sharing with you a part of an article written by my friend Gary McCluskey, pastor at University Lutheran Church in Tempe, Arizona. Gary writes the following: each morning between 5 and 5:30 a.m., I crawl out of bed, careful to not step on the dog, and with only one eye open, stumble down the stairs to turn on the coffee and let the dog out. There's a certain unfairness about having to perform such tasks of precision before having had my morning coffee. Afterwards, I get ready, and Mary Beth, his wife, and I head out the door with said dog for our morning walk. Following the same route each day, we are certain to pass others who share our timely routine. First, it is usually U.S. Grant's Mini-Me, moving briskly ahead of us as though heading onward to Vicksburg. Next, on the other side, it's often, quote, tall woman with a tissue, soon to be followed by waving bike man. A few other frequent flyers are, quote, two fingers waving man, unquote, who walks in a direction opposite of us with his wife and a very large dog. She has all she can do to handle the dog, while he waves with two fingers from the hand wrapped around his insulated Yeti. Many times, quote, brace leg man, unquote, passes us, sometimes twice. A young woman being pulled along by two very large dogs does her best to nod, smile, and offer a greeting. An older woman with a small Yorkshire dog lagging behind her limps along and offers a bent smile that seems to reveal both her pleasant spirit and pain caused by her pronounced limp. From time to time, there are those seeming to be out taking their phones for a walk. When I think of community, I wonder, on our walk, are we each day a type of community? We seem to have a similar enjoyment of a morning walk. We are civil to one another, and we recognize each other. Yet I do not know anyone's name, and I'm sure they do not know our names. In fact, I wonder, might they call us white dog couple? Whatever kind of community this might be, its ties are not very strong. We used to see Can Man each day, an elderly man with a yellow Tilly's bag who would go through trash cans in the park, and on recycle days, route through recycle bins in search of aluminum cans. We haven't seen him for a few years now and wonder if he is ill or even still alive. Where the community strong, we would know, unquote. His article goes on to talk about community at University Lutheran, but I started thinking about community and civility in general. My community has certainly changed over these last months. Like Gary, my community now includes those I meet regularly on my morning walks with Novak. It includes those I come in contact with in other places. Now, I've not named those folks yet. With Pastor Gary's impetus, I may do just that, however, in the near future. But I want to share with you a couple of recent snippets of conversations with my new community members. The first happened on a Monday. I'd finished playing golf at the golf course, and they now have a policy of credit or debit cards only. And I didn't really want to put $1.10 or $15 or $25, whatever it was, for a soda on my debit or credit card. And I didn't have exact change, which is the only other option. So I chose not to buy at the golf course. Instead, drove down the road, and there was a McDonald's where I know I can get a large Coke for $1.08 with tax, or tax included. So I pulled over, went through the drive-thru, ordered my Coke, and got up to the pay the window, where the young guy at the back, behind the window said, $1.08, please. I handed him my $1.10, and he said, just a second while I get some change. Or I think it was rather, could you give me a second while I get some change? Well, I was feeling very generous at the moment, so I said, sure, take more than a second. Take 2 or 3 or 4. Me being the wise guy I am. Well, this guy was equally wise and quick-witted because he turned back and said, oh, thank you. I'd almost get a break out of that. When he returned with my 2 cents, he gave me his 2 cents worth, by the way. I also asked him, how are you doing? And he said, well, it's only my second day at the window, and I'm surprised that it's as busy as it is mid-morning. It's been crazy. I've had people yell at me. I've had people not want to wait for a second while I get them their change. What's going on? And I said, well, yeah, I understand there's lots of problems, but keep up your good humor. And he said, thank you, here's your 2 cents, and thanks for the break. You know, the window is a little different from the assembly line where I used to be, where I put together the hamburgers. I get the hang of taking orders, taking money, making change all at one time, just like the pros do. What an interesting observation he made. Then there was another conversation, this time with the bank person at my credit union. I'd gone in to withdraw cash for our monthly allowance. And I know that they have a picture of me back there. They took my driver's license once so that they could make sure that it's me taking money out of my account. So I asked Edgar if I needed to remove my mask so that he could make sure it was me. He smiled and said, no, you better not. You know, masks are mandatory in here. And I know who you are, by the way. And as he's finishing the transaction, he looked at me and he said, you know, I'm wondering if next year I'm going to have to ask people to put masks back on so I'll know who they are when they come in for their money. I thought that was an interesting observation as well. It's fun to have these quick-witted conversations with people in the midst of wondering what more is going to happen to us. And then here's the third snippet of a conversation. This one was at Raley's. I was in the self-serve section paying for or checking myself out for a couple of items, when one of the other customers walked by and asked the cashier there, how come the Pepsi aisle is so empty? Where is everything? Now, I had thought about that too. You know, after all, I'm a Coke drinker, and as I walked by, I noticed it seemed pretty slim on most of those soft drinks. She answered him, aluminum shortage. Now I wondered, what does aluminum have to do with Pepsi? Oh, they don't have enough aluminum cans to put the Pepsi in. I asked her as I walked by, so what about the 1 liter bottles that used to be there? You know, those plastic things? And she said, aluminum shortage. I said, how does that affect bottles? Plastic bottles. The previous customer was saying something about conspiracy theory. We both started to walk away when all of a sudden I was asked, so how's church going for you? I was a little puzzled. I know that I've told some people in that place some of my occupation, but I don't remember ever telling this woman what I did for a living. And I sometimes keep that quiet because it just makes problems sometimes. And I said, it's okay. How did you know I was a pastor? She said, well, a couple of years ago, I was at a funeral for a family friend, and it was at your church. I've known for a long time that you're a pastor. This led to a deeper conversation. Are your people in church? She asked. Yeah, they are. Except I don't know what they're wearing. They could be in their pajamas still because we're doing everything online or on YouTube. But we do have people in church, so to speak, pictures of them around on our chairs. She laughed and chuckled. I'm going to suggest that to my pastor. We've never done anything. I wonder what he's thinking. Oh, never mind, she said. They don't do it. They don't record the service in church, near as she can tell. And I said, so you're going to church too? And she said, yes. And since COVID-19 hit and everything got shut down, now the church is online, so I get to watch it every Sunday. Oh, really? Every Sunday morning? No. Every Sunday evening when my shift ends and I get to go home, I can now go to church. I never used to be able to go to church every weekend before COVID-19. So it's good news, right? I wasn't exactly sure how to answer that question. But isn't it true? Our communities have changed since mid-March for most of us. The people we see regularly are not always the people we saw regularly before. We're starved for conversations, or at least I know I am. I'll probably now talk to fence posts if that means I get an answer back. But it also means that we in the church have figured out how to do things differently. We've done things in new ways. Doesn't surprise me. Church has always been that way. I'll think about that and reflect on that more in this coming week. But seriously, since we shut down and we started doing things on a virtual aspect, we've had a different community. That is good news, I believe. We've expanded our community. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, even though I see some of you here now as I sit doing a reflection piece, and as I see you on Sundays, I'm thankful. But until then, please remember, wash your hands 20 seconds at a time, couple of times a day. Use hand lotion afterwards so that they're nice and baby soft for being held. Stay home if you're sick, especially if you're having problems with breathing, and then contact your doctor because who knows what it could be. Practice the important physical distancing, 6 feet apart. Wear your mask when you're around others, unless, of course, it's your family. And then huddle up as close as you can, embracing one another, loving one another. And of course, Sergeant Esterhaus wants to remind us always, be careful out there. See you tomorrow.